The first greeting. The alien flagship glided into orbit above the small human colony, its silver hull glowing under the light of the nearby sun. It was the first time these aliens, known as the Cathari, had come face to face with the people of Earth. To them, this meeting was a chance to bring humans under their influence. They believed humanity was young, fragile, and easy to control. On the ground, in the colony's open square, humans stood waiting. They had set up banners of peace, lights flickered, and the air was heavy with curiosity. Children peeked from behind their parents, while workers wiped dust from their clothes. No one knew what to expect. A shimmering beam of light appeared, and the Cathari delegation stepped down. Their tall forms moved with grace, their skin smooth and shining like polished stone. Their leader, a figure named Velan, raised his long hand in a gesture of welcome. His voice, soft yet commanding, echoed through a translator device. "People of Earth," Velan said, "we come in peace. The galaxy is wide and full of dangers. Alone you are weak, but with us, under our protection, you can survive and even prosper." The humans clapped politely, but their faces did not show fear. That detail unsettled the Cathari. Most species trembled when first confronted with the might of their empire. But these humans only watched, quiet and calm, their eyes sharp as if measuring every word. Among the crowd, the colony's governor, Elias Ward, stepped forward. He was not tall, not powerful in appearance. He wore a plain uniform with dust still clinging to his boots. But his voice was steady. "We thank you for your welcome," Elias said, "and we also seek peace. Humanity has waited for this day. We knew we were not alone in the stars. Now we see your faces and we are glad." The words sounded humble, even simple, but there was something in his tone, an edge, a quiet strength, that made Velan pause. The alien leader forced a smile and continued. "We will teach you the ways of the galaxy," Velan said smoothly. "Your world is young, your ships are small, but with our guidance, you will learn. Together we will face the dark." The crowd gave another polite cheer. Still, the humans' calmness felt strange. It was as if they were playing along, hiding something behind their controlled expressions. Later, inside the council hall, the humans and aliens sat across from each other at a long table. Velan explained the power of the Cathari fleets, their reach across star systems, and their role as guardians of lesser civilizations. He spoke as if humanity was a child that needed a teacher. But Elias never flinched. He listened carefully, nodded, and asked questions, not weak questions but sharp ones. "If the galaxy is so dangerous," he asked, "why should we believe only you can protect us? What happens if we refuse your offer?" The room grew quiet. Velan's eyes narrowed. Most species begged for their help, begged for safety. Humans did not beg. They looked him straight in the eye as if challenging him. "You will find," Velan said coldly, "that standing alone can bring consequences." Elias leaned back in his chair, his lips curling into the smallest of smiles. "We understand. Consequences," he said simply. "But humanity has always learned the hard way. That is our nature." The conversation ended with forced smiles and formal gestures, but tension filled the air. The Cathari returned to their ship, whispering among themselves. Something about the humans felt off. Too calm, too prepared, too unafraid. That night, the alien flagship floated in orbit, watching the colony below. Sensors picked up strange energy fluctuations near the asteroid belt. Nothing large, nothing certain, just flickers. The Cathari officers dismissed it as background noise. Still, the readings repeated, steady like a heartbeat. Down on the colony, Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the quiet streets. His advisor approached him nervously. "They're not fooled," the advisor whispered. "They sense something. How much longer can we hide it?" Elias's eyes drifted toward the stars. His face remained calm, but his voice was heavy. "As long as we must. Let them think we are weak. Let them believe we need their protection. The time is not yet right." The wind carried his words into the night. Far above, hidden behind drifting rocks, something massive waited in silence. The first greeting had been polite, even warm. But beneath the surface, both sides knew. Peace was only the beginning. Something larger, something darker was waiting to be revealed. A fragile alliance. The next day, the colony square was bright with banners of peace once more. Humans walked among the tall Cathari delegates, showing them food grown in the colonies, fields machines built with human hands, and the modest starport where small cargo ships came and went. To any outsider, it looked like a young species eager to learn and ready to trust. But the calm smiles of the humans hid something deeper. Every handshake, every polite nod, every offer of bread and water was carefully measured. The Cathari saw weakness in humility. The humans saw testing in disguise. Velan, the alien leader, strode beside Governor Elias Ward. His eyes moved across the colony with sharp calculation. "You live simply," he said, his voice heavy with quiet judgment. "But simple life is fragile. One strike from the void, one raider fleet, and all this will burn. You need guardians. You need us." Elias answered with a slow nod, his hands behind his back. "Perhaps you are right," he said, "but humanity has survived storms, wars, and hunger. We are not strangers to hardship. We endure." The words were calm, but Valen noticed the steady fire in the human's eyes. He disliked that look. It reminded him of commanders he had faced long ago. Commanders who fought until the last breath, even when the odds were impossible. Later in the council hall, gifts were exchanged. The Cathari presented crystalline tablets full of advanced knowledge, maps of star systems, data on medicines, and records of alien history. In return, the humans offered simple carvings of wood, paintings of distant mountains, and a bottle of earth wine. The gifts seemed uneven, yet there was meaning hidden inside them. Valen studied the wood carving of a bird in flight. The lines were rough, but the wings spread wide with freedom. "Crude," he said softly, "yet symbolic. You humans cling to symbols. You believe hope has power." Elias lifted his glass of wine and smiled faintly. "Hope is what keeps us alive," he replied. "Hope and the will to fight for it." The Cathari commander shifted uncomfortably. That word, fight, carried weight. During the following days, the alliance talks continued. Treaties were drafted, words of trade and protection written on glowing screens. The Cathari spoke of patrol fleets that would guard human worlds. They spoke of taxes to fund that protection, of councils where humans would be given a small, respectful voice. But behind the polite speeches, suspicion grew. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, a Cathari scout officer approached. Valen in private. His voice was low and uneasy. "Excellency, our long-range sensors show energy patterns near the asteroid belt again. The signals are faint, but they do not match natural rocks. Someone is masking a presence there." Valen frowned. "And the humans? They claim nothing. Their records show no ships. Yet they never seem surprised when we mention the readings." The alien leader tapped his long fingers against the table. "Keep watching. Say nothing. If the humans are hiding something, we will know soon enough." Meanwhile, inside the colony, Elias met with his closest advisors in a dim chamber lit by only a single lamp. Their voices were hushed, careful not to carry beyond the walls. "The Cathari suspect," one whispered. "Their eyes are sharp. They probe at every word we speak." Elias leaned forward, his hands clasped. "Good," he said softly. "Let them suspect. Let them believe we are cautious, even nervous. Suspicion keeps them blind. They expect weakness, so we will give them weakness until the mask must fall." The room fell silent. Outside, the night winds moved across the colony streets. The following morning, the fragile alliance was put on display. Humans and Cathari stood side by side for a ceremony. Children carried small flags, and alien guards held banners of their empire. Music from both species filled the air. To the watching crowd, it looked like peace. It looked like unity. But those who looked closer saw something else. The humans' hands did not tremble. Their voices did not crack. Their posture was not the posture of submission. It was quiet endurance, like soldiers waiting for an order they knew would come. Vaylon watched with narrowed eyes. Something gnawed at him. Peace was here, yet it felt like standing on thin ice. The smallest shift, the smallest crack, and everything would break. That night, as the alien flagship circled the planet, its sensors caught another flicker of movement near the belt. For a brief moment, the cloaking haze broke and a massive shadow appeared. Long, sharp, armored. Not a rock, not a cargo ship. Something else. The shadow vanished before the system could lock onto it, but the impression remained. In his private chamber, Vaylon stood before the stars, his voice a low whisper. What are you hiding, humans? What beast waits behind your calm eyes? On the surface, Elias stood once more on his balcony, staring at the same stars. His advisor stepped close. They are watching more closely, the advisor warned. Elias's expression did not change. His hands rested on the railing, steady as stone. Let them watch, he said. The game has only begun. The fragile alliance was still intact. Treaties were still signed. Smiles were still exchanged. But beneath it all, tension grew, sharp as a blade in the dark. And somewhere in the shadows of space, a Terran warship drifted silently, waiting for the signal. Strange movements. The third week of talks began under a clear sky, but unease had already settled across both sides. The Cathari moved through the colony streets with their usual elegance, yet their eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. They felt something was not right. On the surface, life appeared calm. Farmers carried baskets of grain. Engineers checked the colony's small power grids. Children laughed in the square. To the casual observer, nothing seemed strange, but the Cathari were not casual observers. They were conquerors, trained to see weakness, trained to sense danger. It was during one of these quiet mornings that the Cathari patrol ship orbiting just beyond the colony detected new signals. They were faint, like whispers in the void, but they carried rhythm. Regular, intentional. The officer at the console frowned and checked again. No mistake. Someone was moving out there. When Vaylon received the report, his expression darkened. "Show me," he ordered. A holographic display bloomed in the air, showing flickers of light near the asteroid belt. The patterns were short, sharp, then silent. It was as if something enormous was breathing in the shadows. Could it be raiders? One officer asked nervously. Vaylon shook his head. Raiders do not hide so well. This is organized. He narrowed his gaze toward the blue-green world below. The humans. They had smiled too calmly, too easily. Now the puzzle began to take shape. Meanwhile, in the colony's underground chamber, Elias Ward sat with his advisors. The walls hummed faintly with hidden machinery. A table in the center glowed with tactical displays, though dimmed, so no light reached the windows. "Scans?" Elias asked. One of the advisors nodded. "The Cathari patrol is watching closer. They've picked up fragments, but not the whole picture. The cloak is holding, for now." Elias's jaw tightened. "Good. The longer they wonder, the stronger our position becomes." He paused, his eyes distant. "But the danger grows. If they discover the fleet too soon, this fragile peace will break before we are ready." Up above, the alien flagship shifted position, turning its long sensors toward the belt. The crew searched again, straining to find shapes hidden among the rocks. They caught glimpses, edges of metal, shadows too straight to be natural, but never the whole. It was like chasing ghosts. Vaylon did not like ghosts. He liked control. And now, for the first time in years, he felt control slipping. He returned to the council hall the next day, his stride more forceful than before. Facing Elias across the long table, he pressed his hands flat against the surface. "Governor Ward," Vaylon said, his voice low but sharp, Our sensors detect irregularities near your colony. Energy patterns, cloaked signals. Do you know what they are? The hall grew quiet. Humans and aliens both held their breath. Elias did not flinch. His face remained calm, almost relaxed. Irregularities, he repeated softly, as if considering the word. Space is full of irregularities. Excellency. Asteroids collide, solar winds rise, signals scatter. Perhaps your sensors are too sensitive. A faint smile touched his lips. Or perhaps they are not sensitive enough. The last words cut deeper than a blade. Vaylon's eyes narrowed. For a heartbeat, silence hung heavy between them. Then the alien leader leaned back, forcing a smile that looked more like a mask than truth. Perhaps, Vaylon replied. But know this. Nothing stays hidden forever. When the meeting ended, Ketheri whispers spread like fire. Some claimed the humans were lying. Others insisted the signals were tricks of the void. But no one felt certain anymore. That night, strange movements continued. Small flashes of light darted among the asteroids. To the Cathari, it looked like shadows playing games. To Elias, it was something else. Ships repositioning, testing their cloaks, sharpening their claws. From his balcony, he watched the stars. Once again, his advisor joined him, pale with worry. They are pushing harder, the advisor said. If they learn too much, war will come before we can choose our ground. Elias's eyes stayed on the belt. War will come either way, he said quietly. The question is only when. Better they come blind than prepared. Far beyond, in the cold silence of space, a massive silhouette drifted slowly. For a heartbeat, its dark hull broke through the cloak, and starlight traced its sharp lines. Cannons hidden for weeks gleamed faintly before fading again into shadow. The Terran warship was no ghost. It was real, it was watching, and it was waiting. The strange movements were no accident. They were signals, practice runs, the quiet steps of giants preparing to walk openly. The galaxy thought humanity weak. Soon, it would learn the truth. And the Cathari, proud and powerful, had already begun to fear it. Hidden strength. The days passed, but the unease only grew heavier. To the Cathari, the humans still smiled too calmly, spoke too steadily, and gave away nothing. The aliens were used to fear, used to submission. Yet these settlers of Earth behaved like players in a game they had already studied. One night, under the pale glow of the twin moons, a Cathari patrol ship broke formation and slipped quietly toward the asteroid belt. Its engines whispered through the void, cloaked against casual sensors. The crew scanned carefully, hearts pounding with the thrill of discovery. At first, there was only darkness. Rocks tumbled in silence, their shadows drifting endlessly. But then, there, a sharp line where no rock should be, a glint of metal under false shadow. The patrol's captain leaned forward, his skin turning pale. He ordered a closer pass. Slowly, the ship crept nearer, until the truth emerged. A monster of steel lay hidden among the asteroids. Its surface bristled with weapons, silent but deadly. Its hull stretched longer than a city, black as night, with markings none of the Cathari recognized, except one. The word Terran carved boldly across the side. The captain gasped. This was no transport, no mining barge. This was a warship, bigger, sharper, and older than anything the humans on the surface had shown. Retreat, the captain whispered. Send word to the flagship, now. But before the message could leave, the giant stirred. Lights flared briefly, across the hull. Soft, controlled, but enough to make the patrol crew freeze in terror. The warship had seen them. It could have fired. It did not. Instead, it powered just enough thrusters to shift its position, like a predator showing its teeth but not yet striking. The patrol ship turned hard, fleeing back toward orbit. The shadow of the Terran ship faded once more, cloaked again. But the fear remained, burned into the Cathari's minds. When Valen received the report, he crushed the data crystal in his hand. His voice thundered in the council chamber. "You mean to tell me," he roared, "that the humans hide a warship capable of destroying our fleet, and yet they sit at our table as if nothing is amiss?" The officers nodded nervously. "Excellency, it exists. We saw it with our own eyes. It could have destroyed us, but it did not. It waits." Valen's jaw tightened. "Then this piece is a lie. They play with us." Still, part of him hesitated. If the humans truly possessed such power, why hide it? Why not strike openly? Unless they wanted him to see it. Meanwhile, on the colony, Elias Ward stood in the council hall speaking calmly to the alien delegates. His words were measured, his tone respectful, but his eyes glimmered with quiet amusement. "Your empire is vast," Elias said, "and your fleets are strong. We do not deny this, but strength is not always seen in numbers or size. Sometimes, strength is found in patience, in preparation, in silence." The Cathari shifted uneasily at his words. They did not know if he spoke of humanity or of something else. That evening, Elias met his closest aides in the underground chamber once more. The air smelled of oil and metal. A hologram shimmered above the table, showing the Terran warships, silent orbit among the rocks. "They've seen it," one aide said nervously. "The patrol ship found the cruiser." Elias's expression did not change. He only nodded. "Good," he said softly. "Then the seed of doubt has been planted." "But if they return with reinforcements?" the aide asked. Elias's eyes hardened. "Then we stop pretending." Far above, inside the hidden warship, the crew waited silently. Men and women in dark uniforms moved like shadows through narrow halls. Their captain, an older man with scars across his jaw, stood at the bridge window staring at the stars. "Orders?" his second asked. The captain's voice was quiet but firm. "We wait. If they come closer, we reveal more. Let them think they uncover us by their own strength. Fear grows faster that way." The Terran warship remained still, its guns sleeping but ready, its heart beating in silence. Back on the alien flagship, Valan sat alone in his chamber, replaying the images of the hidden ship. His thoughts twisted. He had come here believing humans were fragile. Now he saw something else. Something patient, dangerous, and disciplined. He whispered to himself, almost unwilling to admit the words. They are not weak. But still, pride burned in him. The Cathari were conquerors. They had broken empires before. They could not, would not, believe a young race from the edge of the galaxy could challenge them. Yet even as he told himself this, fear gnawed at the edges of his heart. The humans continued to smile. The alliance still stood. But in the shadows of space, strength had been revealed, not loudly, not in speeches, not in numbers, but in silence, in patience, and in the shadow of a single warship, hidden yet unbroken. The game was no longer about peace. It was about who would move first, and who would survive. Confrontation at midnight fell over the colony, but the air was not quiet. The humans slept lightly, and the Cathari did not sleep at all. Their patrol ships circled the skies restlessly, their sensors searching every shadow. They had seen the hidden Terran warship. They could not forget it. In the council hall, under dim lamps, Governor Elias Ward sat across from Valan once more. No cheering crowds, no banners of peace, just silence and heavy eyes. Valan's voice broke, the stillness. "You lied to us," he said coldly. "You spoke of peace, of weakness, yet your fleet hides in the belt. You mock us with smiles while a blade hangs at our throats." Elias did not blink. He folded his hands on the table and spoke with calm weight. "We spoke of peace, and we meant it. But peace is never safe without strength. You came here expecting submission. You came believing we were children. Tell me, Valan, would you have respected us if we came to you with empty hands?" The alien leader's jaw tightened. His fingers tapped against the polished surface of the table. "Respect? he hissed. "Respect is earned through fear and obedience. Your trick earns you only danger." Outside the hall, the alien guards shifted nervously. They were used to easy negotiations, to cowed faces and bowed heads. But these humans, even when accused, carried themselves with a strange calm. It was unsettling. Then came the sound, deep, rolling thunder from above. The ground itself seemed to hum. People rushed into the square, pointing toward the night sky. Through the clouds, a massive shape emerged. The Terran warship broke its cloak for the first time, revealing its full form to the world below. Its armored hull gleamed silver under moonlight, its engines a quiet roar, like a giant breathing. Weapons lined its sides, silent but undeniable. Gasps filled the colony. Even the Cathari, proud and disciplined, felt their hearts pound with unease. They had seen warships before, but not like this. This ship was built not only for war, but for survival. It looked less like a vessel, and more like a predator carved from the void. Inside the council hall, Valen rose to his feet, fury flashing across his face. "You dare parade this beast in front of us? You dare threaten the Empire itself?" Elias stood slowly, his expression unreadable. "It is not a threat," he said. "It is a reminder. You speak of danger in the galaxy. You speak of raiders and warlords. But humanity has always faced danger alone. We do not bend, Valen. We endure. We build. And when we must, we fight." For a moment, silence stretched between them. The warship's shadow passed over the colony, its size blotting out the stars. The Cathari guards gripped their weapons tighter, unsure whether to strike or run. At last, Valen spoke again, softer this time, but with a trembling edge. "One ship cannot stop an empire." Elias met his gaze steadily. "One ship is never alone." As if on cue, faint ripples shimmered in the night sky. From the darkness, more Terran vessels decloaked, smaller frigates, sharp destroyers, and escorts. They took formation around the massive warship like wolves circling their leader. Their lights blinked quietly, their presence undeniable. "So?" Crowd below fell into stunned silence. What they thought was only rumor or shadow was now reality. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had hidden teeth. Valen's composure cracked. He turned toward his aides, whispering harshly in his own tongue. Words like fleet, reinforcements, and danger spilled out. His officers shifted nervously, their confidence slipping with every passing second. Meanwhile, Elias spoke again, his tone even, his voice carrying beyond the council hall. "You came to offer us protection. Now you see we have our own. The choice is simple, Valen. You may deal with us as equals or not at all." The alien leader clenched his fists, his pride wounded, his mind racing. His empire had never been challenged this way, never by a species so young. Yet here it was, undeniable. Ships in the sky, calm eyes across the table, and the taste of fear in his mouth. The night dragged on, heavy with tension. The Terran fleet held position, their weapons dark but ready. The Cathari flagship shifted uneasily in orbit, unsure whether to advance or retreat. At last, Valen lowered his gaze. "This is not the end," he said bitterly. "You think yourselves clever, but you cannot hide forever. The Empire will not forget this insult." Elias's voice was steady, almost gentle. "Then let them remember it." When the meeting ended, both leaders walked away without shaking hands. The fragile mask of peace was gone. The confrontation had torn it apart. Above the colony, the Terran warship kept watch through the midnight sky, its hull glowing faintly like a guardian of steel. For the first time, the galaxy had seen the truth. Humanity was not prey. Humanity had power. Humanity had strength. And the Cathari knew. Any wrong move now could set fire to the stars. The mask fall's dawn broke over the colony, but the peace of morning was gone. The shadow of the Terran fleet still hung in the sky, silent and heavy. The Cathari flagship orbited above, its crew restless, its officers whispering of betrayal and danger. For days, the Cathari had believed themselves masters of this meeting. They thought humans were weak, desperate for guidance, but last night the mask had slipped. The hidden Terran fleet was no rumor, it was real, and its presence changed everything. In the council hall, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The banners of peace still hung, but they felt like lies now, flimsy cloth covering sharpened blades. Elias Ward entered calmly, his boots leaving faint dust on the polished floor. Behind him, other human leaders followed, silent, steady, their faces unreadable. Valen was already there, standing rigid, his silver skin shimmering faintly in the light. His eyes burned with anger and pride. "You deceived us," he spat. "From the moment we arrived you spoke of peace, yet all along you hid a fleet strong enough to challenge our empire. Do you think this is clever? Do you think this is honor?" Elias stopped across from him, his voice calm but unshaken. "We spoke of peace, yes, but peace is not surrender. We hid nothing that was not necessary. You came expecting submission, Valen. We gave you courtesy. Do not confuse the two." The alien leader's hands curled into fists. "You dare twist words with me? You are a young race, untested, unscarred by true war. You think a few ships make you powerful? Our empire spans 100 worlds. We have crushed fleets 10 times your size." Elias leaned forward slightly, his eyes locked on Valen's. "And yet you hesitate. You saw our ships last night, and you did not strike. Ask yourself why. You speak of crushing others, but you have never faced us. Not truly." The silence that followed was heavy, like the pause before a storm. The alien officers shifted uneasily. The human delegates sat straight, their faces calm. For the first time, the balance of fear tilted, not toward humanity, but toward the empire itself. That evening, the colony square filled again, not with joy, but with unease. Crowds of humans gathered, whispering as the Terran fleet remained. Overhead, the Cathari soldiers stood watch, their weapons at the ready, but their eyes betrayed doubt. They had seen the warships too. Suddenly a deep hum filled the sky. Another Terran vessel decloaked above the colony, closer this time. Its hull gleamed in daylight, covered in scars from battles long past. The sight of it sent ripples through the crowd. Children pointed, soldiers tensed, even the Cathari flinched. The mask of weakness was gone. Humanity was no longer pretending. In private chambers, Elias spoke quietly to his advisors. "The time for shadows is over. They know now. Let them see our strength clearly. Let them understand that we are not their subjects. We are their equals." One advisor hesitated. "If they call for reinforcements, the Empire will send more fleets. We cannot match their numbers." Elias's eyes hardened. "Numbers do not decide every war. Resolve does. They believe we are reckless, but we are patient. That is our weapon." Far above, Valen stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the Terran fleet through wide windows. His officers pressed him for orders. "Excellency," one urged, "we must call for reinforcements. These humans are dangerous. Their fleet is larger than we thought. If we strike now, we risk losing everything." Valen's pride warred with his fear. He wanted to order the attack, to prove the Cathari Empire was still supreme, but he could not ignore the sight before him. Those ships, silent yet poised, like hunters waiting for prey to step too close. He whispered to himself so low none could hear. They planned this. From the beginning they planned this. The mask of weakness had fallen. Humanity's true face was revealed. Not humble, not helpless, but strong, patient, and unafraid. That night, as the colony lights dimmed, the Terran fleet shifted formation. The giant warship moved forward, slow and deliberate, its engines burning like blue fire in the dark. It did not fire. It did not speak. It only moved close enough for every Cathari eye to feel its presence. It was a warning. It was a promise. In the council hall the next morning, Elias's words cut through the heavy air. This alliance cannot be built on lies, Valen. We showed you peace. You answered with arrogance. Now you have seen the truth. Humanity does not kneel. We stand. We endure. And we will not be ruled. The alien leader said nothing. His pride kept him silent. But his silence was louder than words. The mask had fallen. The game of deception was over. From this moment forward, the galaxy would see humanity as it truly was, not prey, not weak, but a force rising from the shadows ready to shape its own destiny. Humanity's warning. The galaxy had expected silence from humanity. The Empire had expected obedience. But what now floated above the colony was neither silence nor surrender. It was strength, raw, patient, and undeniable. The Terran fleet hung in the sky like a wall of steel, its largest warship at the center, engines glowing softly against the darkness. Around it, destroyers and frigates moved in silent formation, their hulls gleaming like knives. The Cathari flagship faced them from orbit, proud yet trembling, caught between pride and fear. On the colony below, the people gathered in the square, their eyes lifted upward. For weeks they had smiled politely, hiding their secret. Now they stood taller, their calmness replaced by quiet pride. Children pointed at the glowing ships. Elders whispered prayers. Workers clenched their fists. This was no longer just survival. It was defiance. Inside the council hall, Valen's composure was cracking. His silver skin shimmered with anger, his long fingers twitching. He slammed his hand onto the table. You cannot do this, he roared. You are one world, one race. You cannot stand against an empire that has ruled the stars for centuries. You will be crushed. Elias Ward rose from his chair, his voice steady, every word like iron. We have stood against storms before. We have faced empires on our own world and torn them down. Do not mistake silence for weakness, Valen. Humanity is not a child. We are survivors. We are fighters. And we do not bow. The alien leader's eyes burned, but behind them lay doubt. He had seen the Terran warship with his own eyes. He had seen the fleet that should not have existed. At that moment, a voice echoed across the skies, carried by both human and alien channels. It was the captain of the Terran warship. His words were calm, but they struck like thunder. This is the TSS Resolute, flagship of the Terran Defense Fleet, the voice declared. We came here in peace. We offered our hand, but let it be known, humanity does not kneel. Any who seek to chain us will face the fire of our resolve. The words spread through every ship, every radio, every ear. Cathari officers froze at their stations. Human colonists clenched their fists with pride. The mask of weakness was gone forever. Valen's aides whispered urgently, Excellency, we must retreat. If they strike first, we cannot hold. But Valen's pride resisted. His voice shook with fury. Retreat? From primitives? Never. Yet his own hands trembled. He could feel the weight of history shifting, and for the first time, he wondered if his empire's power was not eternal. After all, the Terran fleet remained silent, their weapons dark but ready. They did not fire. They did not move. They only waited, letting the fear grow, letting the Cathari realize that every choice now carried risk. On the ground, Elias turned to the alien leader with one final statement. Remember this, Valen. Humanity came to the stars not to beg for protection but to find its place. If you come as partners, we will stand with you. But if you come as masters, you will not find slaves. You will find resistance. The alien leader could not answer. His throat tightened, his pride chained his tongue. He turned sharply, his cloak swirling, and stormed from the hall. His soldiers followed, their steps less confident than before. Above, the Cathari flagship broke orbit slowly, its engines flaring as it turned away. No shots were fired. No war began that night. But something greater had changed. Fear. The mighty empire, once certain of its dominance, now carried the shadow of doubt wherever it went. The colony erupted in cheers. Families embraced, children laughed, and workers shouted to the heavens. They had faced an empire and not been crushed. For the first time, the galaxy had seen the truth. On the balcony overlooking the crowd, Elias Ward stood quietly, his hands resting on the railing. His advisor came to his side. "They will return," the advisor said softly. "You know that, don't you? This is not the end." Elias nodded. His gaze stayed on the Terran fleet above. "Yes," he said, "they will return. But now they know what waits for them. Now the galaxy knows we are not prey. When they come again, we will be ready." Far in orbit, the TSS Resolute drifted like a silent sentinel. Its captain stood on the bridge, his eyes on the distant stars. He knew the Empire would not forgive, but he also knew humanity had crossed a threshold. For centuries, the galaxy had seen Earth as a quiet world, young and unimportant. That illusion was shattered. The mask was gone. Humanity had spoken its warning. Come as friends or come as enemies. But never come expecting chains.